In the main games, the past Paradox Pokemon are much better than their future counterparts. This is no different here in Emerald Elite Redux. While there currently are only 10, unlike the future forms who have 11, a majority of them are solid Pokemon. However, which of these are the best? The answer isn't as obvious as you might think. Giving each of them 3 additional abilities on top of photosynthesis shakes things up quite a bit. One thing that doesn't change no matter the game is Brute Bonnet being trash. The past form of Among Us still has nothing going for it. It's still slow, not very bulky, and doesn't hit that hard. Grass Dark is a trash typing with 7 weaknesses, including a 4x super effective one. The addition of more abilities doesn't help at all. It gets adaptability, which it can use to do a bit more damage if it survives. Booster Energy does make its attack decently high. Stab Sucker Punch can be effective in certain matchups. The ability Fungal Infection can make it a solid support Pokemon, inflicting Leech Seed with attacking moves. The Sun will not only activate its photosynthesis, it will activate solar power as well. Even with the Sun, it just can't hit hard enough and won't stay around for long. Spore might come in clutch, but it's not really worth the trouble. Much like its future variant, the past form of Volcarona has disappointed me. Slitherwing is not a good Pokemon in the base games, but I would say its stats are fine. It's a bug fighting type which has 4 weaknesses, including a 4x super effective one. 135 attack and 81 speed is manageable, but its bulk is on the lower side of things. It does, however, get a few abilities that enhance these things. Fluffy is a good option for reducing damage on the physical side, although this does add another huge weakness being fire to look out for. On the special side, it gets the extremely rare ability of Fire Scales, which halves the damage of special moves. While both add to its bulk, I found it still hard to keep alive. You would think the combination of Booster Energy and Majestic Moth boosting up its attack would lead to crazy amounts of power, but it didn't really move the needle. You can run Hustle, but that's at your own risk. On entry, Slitherwing uses the move Powder, so if opponent uses a fire moves, it can do a bit of damage to them. You're better off using Volcarona at this point. A past Paradox form that has seen some success in VGC is Raging Bull. However, it doesn't make much of an impact here. It has 125 in HP, so with its defenses, it can survive a few hits, and with 137 in special attack, it can hit back with a fair amount of power. Its build is much better for doubles, and with the new abilities it gets, it supports this. Power Spot giving its partner a 30% boost in power can help a lot. The ability Pressure not only drains high-powered moves of valuable PP, but will erase stat changes when it enters the field. What most people want to do with Raging Bolt anyways is use Thunderclap. It has other great moves like Draco Meteor and Thunder Cage. It even has the ability to hit Fairy type Pokemon now because of Overwhelm, and it won't be slowed down by Intimidate or Scare. Raging Bolt even matches up well against other electric types since Overcharge makes them weak to its electric moves. In a doubles format, Raging Bolt is super helpful, but in a game where it's majority of single battles, there are just better electric types to choose from. Even though it's only at number 7, Walking Wake is a solid attacker. This ancient form of Suicune has a decent speed stat of 109 and has 125 special attack, meaning it can really deal damage if it gets to hit you first. It's really not that fragile either, especially with its type combination giving it only 2 weaknesses. When it first hits the field, it's really hard to take out in one shot because it gets the ability Multiscale, having the damage of all moves at full health, allowing it time to set up. Oh, but it doesn't really get any setup moves worth its time. It's the only Paradox Pokemon that sets up its own Sun with Drought, meaning it doesn't need Booster Energy and can run other items like Life Orb. If you don't want to run Drought though, you can get Sun Worship, which will give it +1 to its highest stat when it enters the Sun. Walking Wake's move pool is very shallow. You'll just be running Flamethrower, Hydro Steam, and Dragon Pulse most of the time. It's a hard Pokemon to use, and you'll get value from it, but it's not going to take over a game. The last of the Paradox Legendary Beast is at number 6 with Gouging Fire. Serving as a bulky, physical attacker, it does its job pretty effectively. 105 HP alongside its defensive stat of 121 and good defensive typing, it will be living a lot of hits. 115 in attack gives it a good amount of power to retaliate. It gets much better though. Gouging Fire gets one of the best abilities in the game, being Fearmonger, lowering both attack and special attack of the opponent on entry. I'm a big fan of this ability, and it can really slow down some strong Pokemon and gives Gouging Fire a chance to set up. Or it can use its signature Burning Bulwark, which is Protect that burns Pokemon on contact. Physical attackers can be shut down completely. Depending on how you use your EVs, the booster energy will bulk it up or make it hit harder. Either way, it has tough claws, so contact moves like Flare Blitz and Dragon Rush will hit like a truck. Morning Sun even gives it some recovery, so it can be hard to get rid of before it sets up and does serious damage to a team. I would say it's definitely the best of the Paradox beasts. Entering the top 5, we have one of the bigger disappointments in my opinion, being Fluttermane. One of the greatest Pokemon of Generation 9, I expected a lot more. It's still a really good Pokemon however. Insane stats of 135 in speed, special attack, and special defense, while it has 55 in the other stats. So it has some bulk, at least specially, but when it uses booster energy for speed, it's top tier. Going before Fluttermane is very challenging, meaning most Pokemon will have to deal with being hit by it. Now that it has hyper aggressive, it's going to hit you twice, and a sash won't save you. Moonblast is definitely going to hurt, and Mystic Fire will ensure that no special attacker is getting through it. Using Shadow Tag, it can keep the right Pokemon out and set up. Given that it has 4 immunities, a Pokemon with no way to touch it isn't far from the realm of possibilities. Other than hyper aggressive though, it doesn't really have anything else adding to its power, and in this game, its power is just not enough to be game breaking. 2 of its new abilities only really do anything after it's dead. Guilt Trip sharply lowering both attack stats, and Ill Will completely depleting a move that knocked it out, which is useful for certain situations, but switching out can solve it. Still, Fluttermane is Fluttermane, so it's still very good. One of the best Paradox forms when Gen 9 came out was Great Tusk, and it's still a monster. It takes the bulky physical attacker role that Gouging Fire has and makes it better. 115 in HP and 131 in defense is really difficult to get through. Pair this with its 131 in attack and some of its great abilities, and it hits like a truck. Its bulk can be made much greater when running the Battle Armor ability, since it will reduce all damage overall by 20%, and will protect it from crits. If you're worried about ice types, it can also run Thick Fat to negate that weakness. It does have a good amount of weaknesses, but it also has a good amount of resistances. Its coverage is really good though, with moves like Zen Headbutt, Play Rough, Fire Fang, and Ice Fang. The most ideal moves to run though are any horn or drill based moves, as it gets the innate Mighty Horn, boosting them by 30%. Moves like Jagged Horns, Poison Jab, Mega Horn, or even Stab Drill Run get this boost. A Pokemon might live one of these hits, but the innate Aftershock will finish the job. Aftershock causes a 4 to 7 magnitude for each damaging move. Add in the fact that Great Tusk now has recovery with Shore Up, and it will be staying around long, blowing up teams. Special attackers are a big problem for it, but if it can get its speed up with Rapid Spin or Fire Charge, they may not get the opportunity to attack. Starting off the top 3, we have the past Paradox form of the pseudo-legendary Salamence known as Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon has a very impressive stat spread. 119 in speed is really solid, and paired with 139 in attack, it can easily threaten when entering a battle. Its special bulk is serviceable, and its stats aren't wasted on special attack. Don't let that fool you though, it can and will use special attacks. Thanks to the ability Equinox, they will hit at the same power as the physical attacks, since all moves will use the highest of the 2 to calc damage. Roaring Moon can spam moves like Draco Meteor and Overheat, and won't suffer the consequences of stat drops. It will also be able to run physical moves, so Pokemon will have a hard time walling it out. Fairies are in for a surprise, as Overwhelm lets it hit them with Stab Dragon moves. Fearmonger makes it a great support Pokemon as well, and it can get a Dragon Dance off pretty easily. Moxie can make it unstoppable, raising attacks after each knockout. Roaring Moon is an absolute beast, but if any fairy moves touch it, then it's done for. And at number 2, we have the biggest shocker on the list, pun intended, Sandy Shocks. I came into this expecting this to be one of the worst. I mean, look at its stats. Everything is below 100 except its speed, barely, and its special attack is at 121, which isn't super impressive. So how is this sitting at number 2? Well, the tools it has, it can easily sweep through plenty of teams. The combination of the ability Multi-Headed, which lets moves hit up to 3 times, and the move Charge Beam, which raises special attack by 1 stage each time it's used, is nothing new, but it's unbelievably effective. Throw in the ability Transistor, and it will be doing really good damage. Taking out a Pokemon and getting the +3 in 1 turn is absurd. After that, Sandy Shocks can spam Shockwave with its +2 priority and wipe out entire teams from existence. You can try to throw in a ground type to stop it, but ground shock removes their immunity, so even they won't be safe. It's like a mini version of Mega Ampharos, which is one of the better megas in this game. Its speed is the only thing that holds it back from being completely broken. At number 1, one of the worst in the base games is Screamtail. Definitely no developer bias here. Screamtail has very unique stats, 115 in both HP and special defense, with a decent defense of 99, but very bad attack stats, both at 65 while having 111 in speed. However, this is remedied with one simple ability, huge power. It now has the bulk, the speed, and the power to take over games. Booster energy increasing its speed by 50% is going to outspeed most targets, letting them get hit with stab, zen headbutt, or play rough. If they somehow hit first, the innate tangled hair will lower their speed if they make contact, meaning it's going to take big hits back to back. If you really want to make Screamtail a tank, you can run Fur Coat, which halves the damage of physical attacks. Screamtail becomes very hard to get rid of. On top of all that, it has very good recovery. The innate Nosferatu will not only recover HP of half the damage dealt, but will increase the power of contact moves by 20%. Safely use a bulk up, then destroy an opponent while recovering any damage lost. Screamtail is a very busted Pokemon, and I believe it's the best past Paradox Pokemon. Which of these past Paradox Pokemon do you think is the best, and have you used any in your playthroughs? More Paradox forms are coming, both past and future, in coming updates. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more. Shout out to the members, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.